This is my thing with that because I've been dealing with it firsthand every single day now since this has started. There are people out there that are coming into my chat laughing every time a report that comes out that American service members were unalived. You have people out there like Nick Fuentes literally saying he wants America to lose. This is my thing with that. If Trump wasn't in office right now and you had another president in office, anybody, I don't care. Joe Biden could be back in office. George Bush could be back in office. Barack Obama could have been back in office. Yes, there would be pushback on people disagreeing with the conflict, like there was in 2003, with people pushing back on that conflict. But here's the difference. Here's the key difference that there was in 2003 compared to 2026. Sorry. Those people were pushing back against the war, but never once was anybody saying that they want America to lose, that they're laughing that service members are being killed. The only thing is this: you have people that are so against Trump that it's their entire personality that anybody who supports this war has to go over there to fucking fight this war, and that they disagree with this because it's Donald Trump in office. I'm sorry. I actually care more for the troops than anybody on the left, actually, because I'm actually saying that we need to get this done as quickly as possible to stop this going on. So the not a crazy amount of people have to lose their lives for this. I said it to Nora and I said it to Mia earlier. It is us versus them. If we have it their way, they're going to come to the United States and start slaughtering us. I don't want to have to go through a fucking another 9/11 in this country for us to do something. I want us to be proactive like we were, like how we found out Hezbollah was training off this coast of Venezuela. I want them to be doing these things so it doesn't come to our shores. I don't understand how that's so hard for people to just wrap their head around and be like, you know what? And look at the bright side of this, that we could actually stop something before it becomes even bigger. That's my entire spiel. And then I won't understand the left. I never will. There's that I'm not saying the entire left. Just there is a lot of people out there that are saying these things.
Yeah, but Sneako's not the left. He supported Trump heavily. Like, and we watched that in the documentary. He did a lot for Trump, like a lot.
I mean, he's just the one that was talking about on screen, so
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know.
really
But
care
what
for
I'm
him.
saying is, yeah, I got you. What I'm saying is, it's not just the left saying this; it's people on the right saying this too. I think people
Yeah.
are misguided and misdirected because they're so angry with one country, which we talked about, Enzo. And I do believe that it's not a left versus right thing. Like, it's people on both sides saying these comments.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You have the libertarians hiding behind the Republicans and the Groypers hiding behind the Republican thing when in reality I look at this whole rise of this Groyper community as I don't think it would have got this popular if Charlie Kirk wasn't unalived, and now you have just nobody to literally mask that community, and now people are taking that community more seriously now, and that's the problem. I'm going to say this straight up: the Groypers and the Libertarians are not Republicans. They never were. I mean, the Libertarians, sure, they're traditionalist, but when you actually break it down, they hold no ideals of what the modern day Republican Party is. The same thing with the Groypers. The Groypers actually more aligned with the left. I mean, just go listen to anything Nick Fuentes said. He wants socialism. He wants the country to control the means of production and all of this. Like, if you actually listen to what he says, that's what he's going for. That is the left. And if you actually look at history, you'll understand that fascism, which he's pushing for, is not a right wing thing in the slightest. So I don't understand how people conflate the Groypers with the Republicans. It's crazy.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about something that's affecting one of our or two of our teammates that live in California. Better keep your head on a swivel, buddy. Here we go.
Warning of possible Iranian drone attacks on our homeland. A new alert reviewed by ABC News revealing Iran's aspirations to conduct a surprise attack specifically against unspecified targets in California. The FBI saying it's warned police departments across the Golden State now of strikes by unmanned aerial vehicles or drones as tensions rise in the Middle East. Let's get straight to our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Kontersky. Aaron, what are you learning?
We've reviewed an alert that came within the last couple of weeks, Kira, just recently, from the FBI to law enforcement agencies up and down the California coastline, warning that Iran is aspiring now to perhaps launch some kind of a retaliatory attack on the U.S. mainland using drones on the West Coast. The alert that we reviewed said an uncorroborated report suggested that unidentified.
Pause for a second. So you mean to tell me, Kamal, that this report was from September 2025 and they just now telling us? That's all I'm going to say. Keep that in your thoughts while you think of what you're going to say.
Suspicious.
Mexican cartel leaders had authorized attacks using drones carrying explosives, so they know that capability exists. And this separate alert that we've reviewed, Kira, says that Iran has those same kinds of aspirations. So the U.S. has broadly known for some time that drones could be deployed against the homeland. We know that Iran has been using drones significantly in this 12-day-old war with the United States. That's what killed the first 6 U.S. service members in this war. But now the FBI is specifically warning police agencies in California along the Pacific coastline that Iran is aspiring to use them to attack in the West.
So why California? Why the West?
Good question. And that's not exactly clear, but perhaps there's thought that Iran has these things pre-positioned on ships that are still in international waters or that could float through international waters. We know that we've previously reported, Kira, on Iran's desire to perhaps activate sleeper cells in the United States, although that's certainly far from confirmed or far from anything operational as far as law enforcement knows. It's not clear why the West Coast as opposed to the East Coast, but that's what the alert from the FBI.
I'll say this before you respond, Kamal. The largest population of Iranian Americans are in Los Angeles. So I'm just putting that out there. So, I mean, people are trying to make this more complicated than what it needs to be. I think that's number one. Number two, why they just now telling us about these drones off the coast? How convenient. And three, the theory is the reason why they're picking California is because of Gavin Newsom. What's your thoughts?
Well, I don't know if it's because of the conch wearing Gavin Newsom, but like you said, most of the Iranian population in the States is in LA. You feel me? But at the same time,
and what the imminent
why the fuck would they like bomb California unless it's gonna be like the naval bases out here and shit like that? But we pay the most in gas. Gas is $8.30 goddamn too in some spots in California. Around me, that shit like 5 something. You gonna bomb your biggest consumer? They ain't gonna do that shit. They not about to bomb unless it's gonna be one of the naval bases. That's the only thing I can see. Other than that, I think this is some bullshit. I don't think they're gonna bomb California unless it's like you said, LA. But I don't think they're gonna do that shit. I
mean, the other thing to note is Ramadan ends on Sunday. So if you know about Muslim faith, and y'all can look this up. I'm not making this up. You're not allowed to strike your enemy during Ramadan. You're only allowed to do defensive action. So I don't know. We'll see. Next week might be big. Keep your head on a swivel. I got a couple more clips and then we're going to move on to the manosphere topic. Here we go. This is what this person had to say. This is a left-leaning person for you, Gray.
That Iran has conducted their first cyber attack, or at least the first one that we know about. And this is a company called Stryker. They wiped every single device on the company's network, every single thing that was managed by Microsoft. And the company is called Stryker, and they produce medical imaging technology. And Iran wiped every device on their network that was, again, managed by Microsoft. According to this, Iran is notorious for conducting some of the most infamous wiper cyber attacks, and they fulfilled that legacy here, it seems like. Here's the logo for Stryker, and it says that the Handala team claim responsibility on their Telegram, and they brag about this kind of stuff, so we do know that it was them, or at least one would assume. They seem to have obtained access to the management console, so like MDM, it's basically a system that allows you to manage like your corporate devices. And one of the abilities that you have on that system is to remotely wipe a device if it's lost or stolen, or if you're Iran and want to mess up the US.
Gray, what's your thoughts? We also found out today that they hacked the Dow Jones system and completely wiped it out. What do you think about all these cyber attacks? Should we be concerned?
Yeah, of course we should be concerned. And they were saying that they were going to attack banks as well. And as we know, Russia does a lot of cyber attacks, and we know Russia is giving Iran information on where American assets are. So they have a lot of access to information, and Trump is trying to work with Russia, and Russia's probably backstabbing Trump. So, but while we're on the basis of Russia's communist and fascism is a far right ideology. Communism is a far left ideology.
That's not correct. Fascism is a totalitarian regime where everything all encompasses the state, everything for the state, nothing against the state. Communism is an economic model that is used by that was used by the Soviets as well as the Mao Zedong eras. Fascism is the hierarchy of the government itself. It's not a far right, it's not a far left. It actually fits both. So, and that is outlined by Mussolini
Fascism is
himself.
a far right, authoritarian and ultra-nationalistic political ideology characterized by a dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, and a forcible suppression of opposition. It's far right.
So no,
There
it's not. So
you
that
can't-
definition, hold on, that definition
One
was
dictator that was that did fascism that wasn't far right.
yeah, Mao Zedong, Stalin.
They're communists.
Yeah, the communism is the economic model of how it goes. Fascism is how the country is ran, as in the hierarchy. That's exactly what it is. Again, fascism, as outlined by Mussolini in 1932, the doctrine of fascism is a totalitarian regime where everything is all encompassing the state. Nothing against the state, everything for the state. The people serve the interest of this state. That is the definition of fascism. That is the correct definition. The definition of the far right ultranationalism, everything like that, that became popular after 1940s Germany, where they tried to say that the Germans were far right, when in reality, if you actually look at the German economy back then, it actually mimicked a socialism in a way, because the state what owned the means of production, all the companies of the state, all the companies within Germany, as well as its conquering nations, serve the duty of the state. The government had a pull, it had ties into every one of those. So no, it's not far right. There's basically no far right fascist regime that you can say that it is. That was outlined by a professor later on. That's not the real definition now.
So you're basically saying that Germany is not fascism. Nazi Germany is not fascism.
No, it was fascist, but it was not far right. That's what
It was
I'm saying.
socialism.
Yep.
Okay.
The National Socialist Workers' Party.
And Gaddafi was too. Gaddafi is a fascist, but he had socialist ideas.
Yep. Like I said, communism is the economic model, what they use to seize the means of production. The hierarchy of the entirety of the state is fascism. They're intertwined with each other.
To me, this is just mental gymnastics to try to like downplay what right-wing ideology stands for. I mean, it's just the definition of fascism specifically says far right. So that's all.
Yeah, that's an interpretation of it done by a professor. I'm gonna when we talk about fascism, I'm going to take the word of the man who coined the term fascist, which was Mussolini himself and Gentili, which is outlined again in the Doctrine of Fascism, authored in 1932. It's like 4 or 5 pages, actually. I read the entire thing, as well as the Communist Manifesto. I read both of them. So,
well, I got one more clip before we switch gears. This is explaining why we should have our head on a swivel.
News is circulating that Pam Bondi is said to have moved to military housing because of threats. We're going to take you through the official narrative, and then we're going to tell you about some of the other theories, including some interesting developments that are circulating online. This comes from the SeattleTimes.com. Bondi is said to move to military housing because of threats. Attorney General Pam Bondi has quietly relocated to one of several military bases in the Washington, D.C. area, where other Trump administration officials also live, after reportedly facing threats from drug cartels and critics of her actions in handling the Jeffrey Epstein case, according to people familiar with the situation. Bondi moved from an apartment in the city within the past month in response to an array of threats flagged to her by federal law enforcement, these people said, including an uptick in criticism of Bondi and threats relayed by investigators. One catalyst was an increase in threats following the capture and prosecution of President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela in January, according to a senior official with direct knowledge of the situation who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss security matters. Bondi is the latest administration official to move into heavily guarded quarters at military facilities in or near the nation's capital after citing danger from criminals, adversaries overseas, and protesters. Now, here's the interesting part. Other officials who have relocated include Stephen Miller, the president's top domestic policy advisor and the architect of his hardline immigration policy, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Kristi Noem, the exiting Homeland Security Secretary, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Daniel P. Driscoll, the Army Secretary, has also moved into military housing, and has Navy Secretary, John Fellon, whose home was damaged in a fire last year. Now, this could, of course, be multifaceted. Of course, some of those details may be correct. There may have been people that were not happy with the capture of Maduro, possibly. There may be people who are really angry about the Epstein files, possibly. But the trend is that multiple people in the administration who the influencers keep telling us we all love so much suggest that maybe that's not the case. Maybe there's other security threats that we're not being told about. We did hear recently that apparently the government is withholding information about some of the threats to the homeland. We're hearing reports that the FBI now thinks that Iran may attack California with drones. I mean, there are many, many different reasons why this could be happening. Of course, when your country is at war, there is heightened security across for multiple leaders. That's to be expected. But what we did find interesting was the
Okay, before Enzo answers, we have some super chats. So, guys, we appreciate all the love tonight. Stinky Tinkle says, all socialism leads to fascism. And the lunatic libertarian says, first source better than interpretation, plus give an example. Okay, Enzo, why are they moving into housing?
The lady broke it down basically perfectly. So you have a lot of people within this administration that are doing a lot of things in ways that a lot of people don't like. Am I going to sit here and say it's because of the Epstein files? Not a chance in hell. Not a chance in hell. My biggest thing would be the capture of Nicolas Maduro, as well as taking out El Mancho, would be my biggest things, and possibly from Iran stating that they're gonna attack the West Coast for whatever reason. I don't want to sit here and say that that's not even possible, because one, the only drone carrier that Iran did have is now hanging out with Ariel in the down in the sea. So I don't know, unless they have one hidden somewhere. They got no way of bringing it to the United States or anywhere close to the United States. So my bets really are on, with the capture of Nicolas Maduro, what we're doing in Ecuador right now by taking down the drug cartels, because we know the drug cartels, they're ruthless. They like to chop people's body parts up and send them to their family members to send a message and put bounties on people's heads. So that's my bet. Honestly, I don't want Pam Bondi to be killed, to be honest with you, but I do want her out of that position. Can we please move forward and get rid of Pam Bondi still? Anytime